Thank you for listening to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please support the show by subscribing to and leaving a 5-star rating for the show on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and any of your favorite podcast platforms. You can also support the show by going to our website, blackandgoldhockey.com, where there's always exciting articles by the BNG writing staff. While you're there, don't forget to click on the fanatics.com banner for a great sports fan shopping experience.
Hey, are you done yet? We gotta start the show.
Behind the net to Sanderson, Allred! Allred from the Boston Bruins!
30 seconds left in the period. The Bruins are shorthanded. Ray Bork from the face-off circle to the right of Reggie Woodman. Fired it down and Whitmore blew it.
Did he ever?
To Bergeron on the drive, save, rebound, he's loose, Sagan kicks him loose, Bergeron scores! The Priest Bergeron, with the point of the dagger in their throats, they rip it out of Toronto's hands and kill the beast! The Boston Bruins have won it after being 3 down in the third!
The Black and Gold Hockey Podcast is powered by BetOnline.ag and in partnership with the Black and Gold Production Sports Media Company. This is Season 5, Episode 240, and I'm your host, Mark Allred, alongside co-host Heather Ingerson. What up, Heather?
Happy Sunday, my friend. Just here to record some Bruins.
Man, we do have a lot to talk about. Jesus. We have a lot to talk about this week. So we did get together and thought you did anyway. Well, I sent you a bunch of topic items.
We did half and half. I had started stuff, but then, like I said, I was a little wonky yesterday, so I didn't get really to it. So last night, I just took whatever you DM me and whatever I had on there and had intended to put on there before I decided, like, you know what? Get this agenda done at some other time. But I think we've got some stuff to talk about considering it's the off season. So good things, but
BetOnline.ag has the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Baseball is in full swing, and you can track all the action at BetOnline.ag. Get all the latest news, odds, and info for all your sporting needs, including Major League Baseball, the National Football League. That's right, folks. Football is back. PGA Tour Golf, and all your UFC and MMA action. Real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline.ag has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. Before the next baseball pitch or the next 50-foot putt for eagle, head over to betonline.ag on your laptop or mobile device. Take advantage of the 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore, folks. Get in on the action at betonline.ag. Don't forget to use the promo code CLNS50. That's CLNS50 to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Heather, let's rock and roll this Sunday afternoon recording. And talk some bees, because that's what we do every week. We clam, we dig, we find news that we can talk about to provide our listeners with some decent quality content. And so let's get started, huh?
Well, we certainly try. Well, as always, we like to try to start with something just a little light. So we just wanted to say happy birthday to Andy Brickley. His birthday was this week, and everybody loves Andy Brickley. So just hello, sir. Happy birthday if for some freak reason you are listening to our podcast.
Happy birthday, Brick. I've been watching this guy forever, it seems, when he came to the Boston Bruins in the 80s. And then, after he retired, came back to Boston as a TV color analyst. And I really like the way he talks about the game. He breaks it down very well, and I think people like him are very important to old hockey fans and new as a way to learn more about the game and how to explain certain situations and if it's right or wrong and so on. But he's just a great person. I've met him several times, and he's a great person to talk to. So happy birthday, sir, and I can't wait to hear you and Jack on the airwaves this coming season.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jack Edwards' better half. But yeah, I actually thought for a second, is it generational because of my age about Andy Brickley? But then I was like, no, man, because he's been around for everyone. So now, like, generations have grown, or at least a generation has grown up with him as a color, and like the helping, like you said, spreading his analytical knowledge of the game. And when I say analytical, not necessarily numbers, but just how you actually play a game, the physics of it all. And yeah, he's awesome. And we all love Andy Brickley. So happy birthday, Andy Brickley. So it was kind of slow news this week to start off, and then things started happening. But at the top of the week, and I couldn't believe that you didn't send this to me because I thought you'd be all over this because of your love of Bruce Cassidy. But Bruce Cassidy was named an assistant coach to Team Canada for 2022 in the Beijing Olympics. Congratulations, Coach. What do you think? You think that's good? He's going to be on. John Cooper is the head coach, and then Barry Trotz and Peter Dubois or whatever. And I mean, DeBoer. I don't know. I always say Dubois, even though I know it's not that. Go ahead.
Oh, what an honor! He was born in Canada, and now he's going to be an assistant bench boss behind the bench in the Olympics. That's just awesome. That's like the top of the pinnacle, in my opinion, when you can represent your country like that. So, congratulations to Bruce. I continue to believe that he's just an unbelievable coach. So far, regardless of his critics and whatever, I think he does a great job, and he's. I'm looking forward to this team. This team this year is really getting me excited, and I know that folks don't really believe much into that because of the moves that were made, but I think that we kind of restructured what we needed to do, especially on the bottom six, and I think Bruce had a big deal in identifying that and relaying it to the management, saying, this is what we need. Much like John Cooper did. I listened to a podcast not long ago about him identifying that we need a better bottom six. And they went out and got complimentary players and low money deals to get those guys in. And look what happened. 2 Stanley Cups in a row. So, I like Bruce. I like the way he coaches, and everybody's accountable, even himself and the members of his staff, down to the players on the ice. So, yeah, it's a great honor for him.
It's a high honor, I think, in Canada to be one of the 4, and obviously, that's a hell of a coaching staff when you put them together, experience. But yeah, that's good for him, and that must be a high honor in Canada of all the Canadian coaches out there, past and present, or even just in all the different levels. And then I thought, isn't that funny that the NHL will let their coaches go to the Olympics, but they're not sure they want to let their players? That seems kind of stupid. Seems kind of stupid. Like, I'm just saying, if you're going to if the players go, like 2 of his players at least are probably on Team Canada. You know what I mean? Like, it just, whatever. I want them to go to the Olympics. If they're letting the coaches go, it's going to be a hard sell to the, I think, the Players Association that the players can't. It's not every single player. It's only really your big name players. And I understand the risk of injury and all of that. But again, people, it's for your national honor, Yep. And also Team USA. This could be it. This could be the year that we assemble the pack that can do it. Okay. So anyways, that was very exciting. And then stuff started to happen. And then Fabian Lascelles signed his entry-level contract. That was very exciting. Yes, I'm sure that made you very happy. So our first-round draft pick, signed, sealed, delivered. Let's see what PJ Axelson and them have found us over there in Europe, the European scouts. So what were your thoughts on this?
A little story to this. If you read Twitter, I didn't say it, but a couple of the people that I absolutely respect in the hockey world mentioned that he was signed by his Luleå team in the SHL, that's the Swedish Hockey League, and they weren't going to put him at the top level in that league. They wanted to put him in a year of development in their system below, and he felt that he was ready to take that big step in his hockey career. And but the Luleå management didn't feel that way, so he pretty much signed an entry level deal, and he's coming to North America to proved that, and I think it's a huge confidence move for a young man like himself, 18-year-old, who thinks he can play at the top level or one of the top levels of development in the world. So, should we talk about where he could play?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that he did pretty well on the under 18 team in the World Juniors. There, he had 3 goals and 6 assists in 7 games in a tournament. That's pretty good numbers, and I understand, but that's really where you kind of see the next generation of superstars in the world, right? All on the same ice, and he's gonna make $925,000 a year. I forgot to mention the actual entry level contract for 3 years that he now has. Where do you think he's going to end up?
Well, all right. So if he goes to the American Hockey League, he's not making $925,000. I know you know that, but just to the listeners and the people who don't know much about the salary cap, probably make about 70, 90 grand in that range a year in the AHL. But there's a rumor that he might even go to the WHL with the Vancouver Giants. If anybody knows the Dub at all, that's pretty much where Milan Lucic got his start with the Giants. So I feel that would be good for his development. I think that'd be a great start. I'm having a hard time just feeling this out. International ice is obviously bigger. We talk about it all the time. I think that he's going to possibly go to Vancouver one season, get the experience he needs. The Dub is a very hard league to play in. I mean, it is like the East Coast Hockey League out there. It's a Wild West, basically. He will learn to use the skill set that he has in a league that is defensive minded and can be aggressive. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So he's learning a lot of different angles that can come right into the American Hockey League the following season and the NHL ultimately at the end. So wherever he goes, I think it's going to be confident. He's just going to have a boatload of confidence. Just the moves that I tweeted out a video the other day, which was I was shocked. The end-to-end rush and going through splitting defense was just amazing. So lots of good attributes this kid has so far, and I'm looking forward to wherever he's going to watch. I kind of hope it is in the W, because you know me and my hockey fix. You watch a Bruins game, and then at 10:30 at night out in the West, you could watch a WHL game and follow up on his progress. So if he goes to the Providence Bruins, good for him. Then that means the management really, really believes in his abilities to play in a mixed league of ages, and not just what we're seeing like from an under 20 tournament and so on. So good things, but I'm happy.
It kind of makes you wonder, because he does have a nice little skill set you can see going on, that it would almost make sense that he would play in the West maybe a year before he goes to the AHL, because that he is young. He's not like a 22-year-old. He's a baby. Yep. He's barely old enough to like buy a pack of butts. He's not even old enough to buy a pack of butts anymore. So it just makes sense before the AHL to give him that 1 year on North American ice to, like you said, learn more of how, like, this is how fast and like you're used to fast pace, but the more aggressive, like we always talk about, there's more physicality in North American hockey. Yeah.
Also keep in mind too that if he does go to the WHL, the contract, his entry level contract, year slides. Mm-hmm. So if he goes to the Dub, and a year after he comes to Providence, that's when he'll start his 3-year entry level.
And that's pretty good pace, because then that puts him on track. You say even if he ends up 2 years down in the AHL, that still means by like 22, hopefully.
Yeah,
he's nice around.
Maybe for the NHL.
Yeah, hopefully earlier maybe you could start getting him in. But again, something's got to give within our system, because now we just have a whole lot of stuff too, so that's good though. It's been a while since we've had a first round pick, and he seems very solid. Not that I think that's necessarily been atrocious, but we'll move on so that we don't have to hear the hate mail. Like, this is a great podcast, only Heather's an idiot because she doesn't know about drafting. You're right, I don't. All right. That being said, nice to have you coming over to North America, because I think that's really ultimately is he probably thought, why the hell do I want to play like in the junior league here when I can start my transition to go towards my NHL career, as should be my career path. So that's good on you, whoever's in charge of you and your
their advisors are probably
I'm like at this point they all have an entourage. They've got like their doctor and their own sports like therapists that are also Reiki meditation people or whatever. So that's that. Okay, so moving on, we had some coaching and front office appointments this week. So first of all, we'd like to say Bruins alumni Chris Kelly is now an assistant coach for the Boston Bruins. We had already talked about this. Turns out Andrew was right. Okay, I had a split view on it, the opposite of what actually happened, at least for now. You thought it was all in on the front way or whatever, and Andrew turns out to be right. So I just want to say that because he wanted to make sure everyone knew he was right. What was going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
congratulations, Andrew.
Congratulations. You won.
Yeah. That was a fun podcast last week. Andrew Taverna, follow him at Andrew Taverna, and also follow the Puck Lines Hockey Podcast. And they have a new YouTube channel too, so please go subscribe to them. They're a good bunch of people over there.
Yeah, they are. So that being said, Chris Kelly, he's on the bench. You think, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you end up ultimately deciding who's going to have what position, but Chris Kelly had a nice long career. Was again in that kind of generation of the first transition from this style of hockey to this style of hockey. Also Stanley Cup champion. So
absolutely
love our alumni in Boston.
I think he's going to do good. I think that he's one of those, he's a coach's coach. Let's just put it that way. A player's coach, whatever you want. A good communicator. Works well with the younger youth, and pretty much, one of the reasons why he was brought in here too was to be the mentor and the player, which ultimately, was a nice complementary piece into the 2011 Stanley Cup for the Boston Bruins. So I think that he's just learned so much in his experience that he's gonna offer it down to a veteran or a younger player that's trying to crack the lineup. So I think it's a solid move, but it's just it all depends on what the product on the ice is going to look like, and your offensive capabilities on 5-on-5. We need a better power play and all this, and I think that he'll provide a valued amount of tutelage to people that want to learn and win. So congratulations to Chris Kelly, and welcome back to Boston. And he's been around Providence. I mean, last year he was in Providence, and the year before that I even saw him when I was in the press box. And you look across the way in one of the suites, you can see Don Sweeney, Adam Mcquaid was up there, and so on. So you could see that something was in the works, that he wanted to be involved and so on. So this was just the latter part of, getting a job like this. And ultimately, he is the assistant coach to fill in for Jay Pandolfo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that it'll be, I don't want to say it'll obviously be different. That's stupid. That's rhetorical, whatever. But I feel like he's kind of the same ilk as Jay Pandolfo. They're kind of the same age and or kind of a lot played in the same era a lot. Just mind-wise, like how they saw the game when they were playing, because obviously every generation sees it a little different. I mean, you can say that in any sport, right? The kids that play basketball today professionally are not when we were kids and into our teenage years or whatever, in the golden ages of the Bulls or whatnot. I think it's a good addition. Kelly was one of those guys that are really good players, but not all players that end up on multiple teams is because of something about them. Sometimes it is their skill set that teams seek out when they have the opportunity. Also, Peter Chiarelli just kind of had free reign to bring anyone he liked from Ottawa into his new team in the Bruins. So, but you are right in that and even like Peverly to an extent, they kind of rounded out, helping Mark Recchi kind of help a lot of these young kids gel into what ultimately our ragtag group of boys ended up Stanley Cup champions, So that'll be good in there. But speaking of another 2011 Stanley Cup champion, right? Did I do that one? No. Adam Mcquaid has been named into player development. That is a call that you definitely saw coming. I really thought he was going to go into coaching, maybe in Providence, but what do you know? So he played mostly here, right? And then he had Columbus a year or something. It's just injuries add up, and whatever. But he's a very smart defensive hockey player. Not your superstar hockey player, but you're kind of constant. Like we talk about, like Carlo kind of has that element where he's just your slow and steady, always there, take one, doing your job. And I think that's going to be interesting watching him just because of it's like he's going to try to start helping recruit and develop more of, like we talked about, like, so what? So like maybe you're a smaller defenseman. You can still be tough, and you don't have to be like idiotic tough, and maybe round out some of these, especially the ones we're coming up through the system now than the last few years that we've drafted or acquired, and have come in. So I think that will be really good. What do you think, Adam Mcquaid? Adam McQuaid's always all right by me. I know some people didn't really like Quader, but I'm all right with him. And he diehard Bruin, Yeah,
it's a good move. I think that it addresses several issues in player development. You do want to. This Boston Bruins team needs to get a little bit of nasty. And why not have a guy that was pretty freaking nasty on the ice that could hit, that could fight, and stick up for a teammate? Having him around to preach that type of game and get back. No, I'm not saying big bad Bruins. We're not going to probably get there. That's an old cliche. But be tougher around the net where some teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning have addressed in certain areas their physicality to ultimately wear down other teams to win cups and multiple at that. So I think that he'll provide that type of player jam that these kids need. You just don't step into the NHL anymore and have the complete package. You have to be taught certain things, and I think that his voice and with his experience is going to be huge in any locker room that he visits or any team function that workouts are needed in practice and so on. So I think it's a good addition. Another one I saw coming with him down in Providence. It's just something that they would just dipping their toes lightly in the AHL, watching that type of action, ultimately getting the job this summer. So congratulations to the Mr. McQuaid.
Yeah, I'd say with Adam McQuaid too is he's going to teach the kids how to be nasty right.
Yes.
He was a tough player, but he was never a dirty player. Like you never would think an opponent would accuse. I mean, everybody has their moments when they act like a jerk. I'm sure he had but overall, he's a gentleman player. He was he wasn't the tough guy, but he was a tough guy you didn't want to go against because he could stand his ground. And I mean, also any dude that literally will just like take out his own leg just to make sure the goal doesn't go in is like, all right, by anyone who's all in that much on their job. But I think that's important too, because we live in a weird world. Like we've talked about, right? Like when we were kids, like you could just people up on the ice, just like people could just smash each other's teeth in, not because it was okay, but because obviously that's just part of what the culture was. And now we kind of swung the other way where there are no enforcers. Like we don't really need like the goon type enforcers, but there's not really as many stand-up guys. And some of those stand-up guys, I'm not naming any names, Tom Wilson, are kind of dangerous jerks. So like you need more of the influence of people like an Adam McQuaid and players like that know how to do it right without potentially hurting somebody else or whatever. That shouldn't be your intent. Your intent is, like people say, when you throw a check, your intent is supposed to be to get somebody off a puck, not to friggin' break their neck or whatever kind of thing, Yep. But yeah, so that'll be a good one. And so Providence has a new coach.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. Very excited.
Yeah, it's I had this news. I didn't break it or anything. I just my source came through again back in early the first of this month or late July, and I did a little bit of investigating and talked to a few people, and they were telling me that Ryan Morganell was the front runner for the job, and John Ferguson Jr. was really high on him, and they had a really good relationship, and Ferguson thought that he was definitely the man, and I think that it kind of overleaped Trent Whitfield a little bit, but it seems that as of right now, Trent Whitfield is going to be Ryan's assistant, so. I think he's going to be a good coach. He hasn't been a head coach in so many years. He's been an assistant. I think the last time he was a head coach was in the Las Vegas Wranglers of the East Coast Hockey League, the original Las Vegas team back in the day. But has been an assistant bench boss there on, I think, with the San Jose organization in Worcester and in San Jose. So, the Barracuda. So, I mean, he's another great guy. I haven't talked to him much. I think I interviewed him once the year before last. Just a good guy. Good structure when it comes down to systems. I think he learned well. And definitely, I didn't go to development camp this year. It was kind of unfortunate. And I know we talked about it last week with Andrew and probably the week before with just when we were doing it. But he was a big voice in development camp. And that kind of tells you where coaches are going, like before this, it was Jay Leach, and he had a big voice at development camp and running the systems and so on, and obviously he got promoted to be the head coach when Bruce Cassidy left. So there's a path that's weaved or paved here when you get to these jobs, and you could definitely see it coming. So congratulations to Ryan, and I'm super stoked about this Providence Bruins freaking lineup. I got an article that's coming out right now soon this week about my expectations. And actually, the idea for this article came from somebody else, from my friend Dom Tiano on Twitter. He got the guys together, his friends, and produced a lineup, an idea of what the Providence Bruins lineup came out. And wouldn't you know it, I had basically the same thing. Maybe one or two tweaks, but it was basically right on. So I'm going to involve that tweet and talk about the players that they got. So I didn't want to be blamed for cherry picking or stealing any information. So why not incorporate what they tweeted out into the article and just talk about it to make make everything peaceful.
Everybody gets their information from somewhere. The important thing is, do you let people know that, just so you know, this is where I got my information?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's called respectful. There used to be this thing called plagiarism when I was a kid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not to sidebar for a second. Legitimately, when I used to teach, there was a whole thing and whatever. Obviously, I can't get into actual details. But the long and the short of it was this kid had copied and pasted something off the internet as his paper, which kids may do. It's easy to find papers online. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when we went to the office, at minimum, shouldn't this kid, get in trouble? Kidnap and get whatever. And the person says to us, but is this actually plagiarism? Yeah, guy, this is the definition of plagiarism. Yeah. You cannot and you didn't even try and change a few words, or like I used to say, you don't leave me on Friday as Dr. Seuss and come back Monday as Shakespeare. It just doesn't happen that way. Just isn't. But sorry, not to go off topic. But anyways, congratulations, Coach. Things are shaping up. I don't know. Things seem exciting, right? Did you want to maybe... I didn't know if you wanted to give a sneak peek to your thing or two of your lineup, or name a couple names that might be. Are there any surprising names on the list? I'm not saying reveal the list or the tweet if people have already seen it, but I didn't know if you wanted to mention it since we're talking about Providence, and obviously, I know you like to. You don't have to.
No, it's just there's. I see Jack Sednika being on the AHL roster. And I'm looking forward to Oscar Steen taking a big leap. Samuel Asselin, I'm looking forward to seeing another year. Curtis Hall, a full season of the AHL is going to be good for him. Jakob Lauko, of course. And this Jesper Froden, I'm actually looking really forward to him. And Victor Berglund's coming to North America this year, finally. So he'll play for Providence. Another year of Brady Lyle and Jack Ashan, so I'm looking forward to that. And I see Urho Vakanainen back down in the NHL for, I believe, his final year of his entry-level deal. So we'll see what happens. That's just a couple names that I'm just gonna, talk about. But it should be a solid lineup. I mean, up and down. I mean, the last 2 seasons for Providence have been, if there was no pandemic at all, I could have them. I would schedule them in for a long Calder Cup run and winning at least one out of the 2 years. That's the type of lineup they had, and it was an abbreviated season last year. They played 25 games, and they only played 2 teams in their division of 3. I get that and so on, but what you see on the ice and the systems that were in place into these players was something special. And I think that if it was a 72-game or 76-game regular season with travel and, included and expanded teams in the Atlantic Division, I really think that this Providence Bruins team could do some damage. It also weighs heavily on how the NHL level the Boston Bruins do for injuries, because we know as Bruins fans, the beginning of the year is always a tough one, but it's also tough on the American Hockey League level because of the transitioning in and out of players, because you need coverage at the higher levels. So, I mean, the AHL is that middle point of your organization, because you get players, the feeder system from the East Coast Hockey League go up to the American Hockey League, and the American Hockey League go to the AHL and NHL. So, if everybody can stay healthy at the NHL level, man, this Providence Bruins team could definitely jump out in this Atlantic Division quickly and secure a Calder Cup playoff postseason berth by February. I'm figuratively speaking and so on, but I have a good feeling about this team.
I'm just spitballing, like February.
Exactly.
Like, it's fine. I mean, I think I'm happy mostly. Obviously, I'm not like a super AHL, like watching all the games or whatever, but I keep an eye. I think it's good. I'm most happy that there's more opportunities for these kids to play. And these, people who maybe, the AHL is their level that they're getting to, but they play they have a career, and having to only play like the same couple teams, like that's almost more torturous than the have to stay in the hotel room and not even talk to your teammates, because it's the same people and you can't even hang out with them. You got to hang out 27 times together, but you can't actually hang out and at least talk to.
The funny thing about the last year, and I know I kind of feel what you're talking about, is they played Bridgeport and Hartford. But even if there was no pandemic and it was a 76-game regular season, they would still play the same teams the same amount of times. Like the AHL doesn't travel much. Some teams do and so on, but like the Atlantic, they really don't, because the teams are kind of tight together. Yeah. So they play Hartford 12 times. They play Bridgeport 12 times. They'll play Springfield 12 times, and it's just you can create some hatred in how many times you see that, so.
Well, I just mean it's better to be able to play 3 or 4 different teams than it is to only play the same 2 teams, is what I mean. Do you know? Because then you get to really know that opponent, and then, but I don't know how that helps you developmentally, like learning going into new situations, having variant appointments. Appointments. Jesus, do I have Sunday brain or what? So weird. It's like almost like I was drinking, but I really wasn't. My brain is just like that. I don't know. Okay, well, we're going to move on from that. It's going to be exciting with the kids, whatever happens with LaSalle when he comes over, and see how Providence rolls out. I just would like to have, just to know if something goes wrong on the top team, that there are some people that are getting rounded out as players that we can pull up as necessary to help fill in. And I will always say, the kids, when they do come up, they always look good, but then people get fucking crazy, like, now Jake Studnicka clearly is our top line center or whatever. Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
he will be in the AHL.
Yeah,
hate to say it.
He will be, and maybe someday, maybe in the NHL somewhere. But currently, it's not here this year on these terms.
I believe I'm just a go a little bit on this. Just to, I believe Jack will have a better path to the NHL after next season. So when you make some departures of certain players, I think that he'll seamlessly fit right in there after he signs a two-way deal.
Yeah, well, that's my whole point, though, is everybody has to wait their turn. And we also, as much as we might love somebody and can't wait to see them, sometimes it's not quite time to see them. And that doesn't mean, I'm sure we'll see Jack Studnicka if someone gets hurt or something. Yeah. But I just mean everyone calm down. We get so crazy, especially as Bruins fans. And I'm sure other fan bases probably feel this way about their fan bases too. Like there's elements. But I don't know. Like it's almost like people love the team so much they have nothing to do but hate on the team. Like I don't like a lot of things that happen with the Bruins. I don't have to hate on people, but I'm also allowed to express some hatred. But I'm not a psychopath. Like some people seem like psychopaths. And the most crazy people have the worst takes that there are out there. Like the most right convinced people. I'm not trying to
stay off of Facebook and their groups. It is a shitstorm. It's terrible. Yeah. Like we wrote an article about actually Sam Minton, new B&G writer, wrote an article about the breaking news of the coaches' hires of Chris Kelly and Ryan Mughal, and I posted it on a Facebook group, and somebody says, "Coaches? Why are we getting coaches when we need goal scorers?" And he was all, "This team's pathetic," and it's like, what? What is wrong with you people? It's almost like people think that the coaches are on the salary cap, like It's like, come on.
I just want to shake my head.
Oh, I do all the time.
First of all, we also need coaches. That's the stupidest thing just in itself. If you don't care about the salary cap.
My new thing for the whiners on Facebook is just a little girl on the ground in a pile of leaves, just freaking flapping her arms and legs, crying. I don't even say anything anymore. I just post that GIF.
Well, my favorite part is how most of us, why I don't care and why I don't really fight with people on Facebook. Well, I'm not on Facebook, but on Twitter, it's because I know one thing to be true. I am just a fan with an opinion, and I hope to sometimes at least be an intelligent fan, but it is not worth the energy to fight with people. Like everyone thinks their opinion is fact, and it's sometimes not a fact. It's just your fact, and that's cool. Everyone can have their truths, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you need a hobby if the only thing you have, I always joke about that Nick Ritchie person. Finally, I was like, all right, tell me, is this Nick Ritchie? That would be okay.
It's a burner account.
No, everyone else. Yeah, exactly. Everyone shut up. I don't know who you are, person, but I'm allowed to my opinion unless this is Nick Ritchie, and it's okay if you're a little offended by my opinion because you are actually Nick Ritchie, which clearly it wasn't, But like you said, is this Nick Ritchie's burner? What is going on? When there's this one girl that's not all, feeling like a kickstand over him. But yeah, so anyways, Bruins fans, we are getting into the dog days of summer. The rough, like I tweeted yesterday, now we're 62 days away from the season. There's a lot of damage we can do to one another. Remember, we're all the same family. We're all the same people who actually, I can't say that because this is the Bruins fans world. Even if we win a Stanley Cup, there will still be at least 25% of Bruins fans that are like, nah, they shouldn't have won. They should have lost game 5. Why'd they win game 5? Whatever. So anyways, I don't know. These are the things that go on in my brain in the offseason. I'm like, Jesus, I hear Kesha's Cannibal in the back of my head every time I see Bruins fans interacting on Twitter and such. Okay, so the NHL released the start times and the schedule because I didn't understand they should have done 2 and 2 sets of games or whatever. That's what I thought. But what do I know? I'm just one girl on this podcast. But mixed reviews. Fans, I saw it. I know we know some people who are not very happy about some of these times or just how it was done. What were your thoughts on the schedule released? All the teams got their times for the schedules that had been released last week maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I don't really know much about what what this topic is. But I do want to say, looking at the schedule, I found it weird that we were entrenched in believing that there's going to be road games and we see teams twice. I really didn't see that at all on the schedule this year, which I was kind of shocked about because I thought that that's where they were going. If you go down to Tampa Bay or down to Miami, you play them twice and so on, so the players can get relaxed and see the sights and so on, and kind of, it's like a mental thing for these players. You don't just rush into a city, play a game, and then rush out of there. You cut down on travel and so on, because I think that's important for the body, to relax and not be on a plane all the time. So I found that a little strange, but I'm happy that the dates are out and times are out and so on. And, I'm just, it's 2 months away, man. It's like, I'm ready. I'm just like so ready for this.
So that being said, the start time 7:00 for we rarely start at home, but we have a home opener versus Dallas as our first game on Saturday, October 16th. Mark your calendars if you haven't already. If you're a diehard, you already have noted this, but yeah, October 16th, it seems so far away. Luckily for people like me, football season's starting, so at least there's something to do, so I don't feel such a void. Just baseball and some soccer here and there. But what are you going to do? No.
The Puck Lines podcast host, Andrew Taverna, mentioned, too, that when he was looking it over the schedule, he noticed that there was only 2 12:30 games, and everything else is 7:00. So that was kind of strange, because we've been known to have Bruins games noon, 1:00 a lot in the schedule. And this year there's only 2. And I guess Andrew wasn't a fan of the early games. I mean, I didn't mind them, but I would much rather, not work and have games at 12:30 and, but
I don't understand. Like, I do think like every team should have a couple, like, Saturday matinee game or whatever. Maybe that's just me, because I think there's something, I don't know. Like, if I want to bring my family in, right? Like, if I go into a Bruins game with you, that's different. Like, if me, you, and Barry and Court are there, because we have a different element. I don't have my kids. But if I have kids and I want to bring them, right? Like my 7-year-old, I don't want to bring him to a 7:00 game on a Tuesday because he has school in the morning, or even if I let him skip, like, that's miserable. It's way more fun to get up and get on the train first thing in the morning or whatever, drive in, hang out, make it a thing, have dinner, go home, or whatever you want to do that day. But you know what? It annoyed me last year when they'd have like a 5:00 start time. The hell kind of game when two East Coast teams are playing? Do you need a 5:00 start time for any situation on a Sunday, on a Monday? Like, it was just weird to me. But I do think I think that everybody should have a couple, 1:00. 12:30, 1:00 start times, and they do seem to have an absorbent amount of 7:30, unless we're in the West, like Calgary. And I always find it weird when Calgary, why do we have to play them at 10:30? Why can't we play them at 9:30, which would make it 7:30, I think, in Calgary? Like, yeah, don't know that to be true. I might be getting them confused in the time zones out there where the West and the mountains switch over, but I don't know. I just feel like 7:00 on a weekday is the good time, and now that's less. I don't know. I just feel like you could draw a different crowd, like for a weekend, make it like an event. I feel like that kind of goes back to bad marketing on the NHL's part. Like, they're missing kind of an intense revenue stream that would help, I guess, individual teams really make a good amount of money. I know you're going to get a lot when it's, for every beer you're not selling because a family brought their kids there, that is $200 worth of stupid things like a t-shirt and a stuffed animal and a mini stick and a whatever that you are going to sell in merchandise and things like that. And it just seems to me that having a few more earlier start times, and I don't know what anybody else is. I haven't compared all 32 team schedules to see what they look like, but you're missing, it seems to me, like a good way to kind of make an event of it and maybe drawing some quick money to help make up. I mean, isn't that their goal in the next 3 years, to make some quick money back? And that's better than some hideous reverse retro jerseys, NHL or whatever, you know? I mean, there's only X amount of teams. You could conceivably do one day and have all the teams play one set at whatever, and you get it in your market, and the other set at 7:00, and just make it like a whole festival of whatever they put it around. It doesn't have to just be the Winter Classic. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like, I don't know. That's just it. I don't know why I'm rambling on about the goddamn start times, because really it's not that important, because I'm going to watch the stupid game or listen to it no matter what time it starts. And I look forward to, because I like to listen to, I'm in the car a lot, and I end up listening to the game on the radio sometimes, in and out in between. And, you know, I kind of miss Bearsy's voice. Like, just like he's like Brick. He likes kind of a settling tone of voice to me.
Yep.
Smart guy, you know, but kind of like my friend's uncle sitting across from me in the living room there on the couch or whatever. But all right, so that's the big excitement on that. I'm sorry to ramble on. So anyway, 7:00, October 16th, blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, this is something that some people were all excited about. I just retweeted it because I figured some Bruins fans would want to know. But Joe Thornton, after 23 seasons, is apparently going to play again, only now he's going to be a Florida Panther. I didn't know your thoughts on this. Full disclaimer, I'm not a giant. I respect Joe Thornton as a Joe Thornton, but I don't love Joe Thornton even when he was a Bruin. Yeah. I kind of wish he would retire. I don't know what purpose he's continuing besides just he's a competitor. You know, I understand that, respect that. But for the same arguments we make with like Chara, like you don't want to see superstars go out on their last leg, literally, kind of thing, you know. So, yeah. But good on Joe. What are your thoughts on Joe Thornton?
Hey, a guy wants to continue his career, and Florida wants to sign him, then it is what it is. He's now in our division, so we'll see him a lot more. But you know, why not? And you know, players like him always gravitate to the teams that they believe have a good intention of winning, and you know, their structure, their team, and so on. But you know, if he believes that Florida is one step closer to you know, making a long Stanley Cup run, then good for him. And Florida did do a lot of really good things in this offseason, so they're you know, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. I'll tell you that right now. They probably won't be the best Florida team, but they'll be a team that that is going to be up in the standings, if you in my opinion.
Yeah, so the success they kind of had in the way we had the divisions last year, I think Florida has been for a little bit spinning their wheels, trying to get the traction to get, and it can't be easy, and you have to share the state with Tampa Bay or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're a growing young team, and they could use his leadership down there, if anything, and whatever. I don't hate Joe Thornton or anything like that. Like, but sometimes this is just the argument of like when athletes need to know when to, maybe it's time. I mean, they're only slightly young. Joe Thornton is only a year younger than me. Yeah. That's just, so I'm not. I can only imagine how tired his body must feel on some days. So,
right.
That's that. But okay, so Cassidy made some comments in it. Ty Anderson wrote an article talking about it mentioned about Cassidy's thoughts maybe on Tuukka Rask's comeback to the Bruins. I don't know how to word this.
Yeah.
Her Ty Anderson article you had brought up, which I had read earlier and forgot about until you mentioned it. So thank you. Shout out to Ty Anderson, who we both love and respect a lot, you know, his information. And I just think he's a funny guy. Like, I like the way he responds, and I'm glad he's got his pep back in his step. And yeah, so go ahead. What do you think about this?
On August 14th, Ty Anderson wrote an article for 98.5 Sports Hub. The Bruins do not believe Tuukka Rask is done. So Bruce Cassidy was on TSN 1200 in Ottawa earlier this week and asked if he believes Tuukka Rask will play another NHL game. And he said that would be his call at the end of the day. and he, and in quotes, said it's a good 5-month rehab. So we did not want to wait and say, okay, Tuukka will come back. What if the rehab doesn't go well? Anything could happen. Cassidy acknowledged. So we identified a guy that we thought would be a good young goaltender in this league for years to come. And we happened to have one who kind of surprised us last year, Swayman, how quickly he developed. And so we just figured we'll start with those two, that meaning Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman. I don't know. I'm still getting mixed feelings about a Tuukka Rask return. One of my favorite goaltenders of all time. Huge fan of the Tuukka. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. If he's not going to play with another team and he refused to sign anywhere, then, why not wrap it up? I get the drive and you love the game of hockey and so on. You want to play every day. You want to get another cup and one is a starter, but I just don't like the situation, to be honest with you. You signed a $5 million a year goaltender for 4 years, and you got Sway. So I just don't like the idea of like we mentioned last week and probably the week before that about him coming back from his rehab and bumping a player that's probably having a career year. What if Swayman is gonna be like unbelievable? I mean, the Bruins are gonna have to think about this too. It's not just on him. It's like, what are we seeing in this tandem? And do we want to flirt with the idea of breaking it up in the chemistry that they have in goal? I don't like that idea. And it's not for the fact that Jeremy Swayman will be bumped down to the AHL. I know people are freaking out about that, but still, it's just, I don't like the whole situation, and I don't know.
No, I get what you mean. I think I said it last week. You don't sign a 4-year, 5.5 backup goaltender, not with the fact Ullmark is supposed to be the intention is he's a starting goaltender in the NHL. He's not. Some goaltenders aren't going to ever be the starter, but can have nice careers being backup goaltenders throughout the league for many years. But that's not what he's supposed to be. It's just weird to me because we don't know what Tuukka is going to be like. Like, he's a goalie who had hip surgery. Now, Tuukka Rask might get really healthy and be wonderful. I agree with you in that I don't think it makes sense to disrupt a system that's been happening for 6 months, or whatever. Like, by the time he can play, it'll be about 6 months, right? I don't like the idea of anyone getting bumped. That being said, if Tuukka Rask is healthy, would it be asinine not to use Tuukka Rask? Like, we also don't want a situation where we're still out in the second round and everyone's like, oh, if we had just gave Tuukka $1 million to play in the playoffs and let Jeremy Swayman go to the,
Yeah.
And now we're in a weird position where we don't have money anyways currently that we could sign Tuukka, give Tuukka money. He could get back like $1 million of last year's salary or something, and then he could, whatever, we'll give him that back. But it's just a weird situation because what message does it send to Swayman? But you can't just bump Ullmark down to the AHL. Like, you can't just say, get out of here, right? Because contractually, he has, right? There's a whole thing. If you can't just say, see, it's an NHL contract, unlike Swayman, who has the flexibility. At the same time, we don't know what goaltending is going to look like in 6 months. What if they suck? What if there's no chemistry? What if we find the grind and tear on Swayman might be a little too much? That being said, it will look different if that situation happens. I just can't see a situation, at least this season, of Tuukka Rask really being able to come back and have any way of being the starting goaltender. He's not going to see any real game action until at least February. Playoffs start early April like normal this year or whatever. Even if you, so now you're looking at, he's probably out for Finland for the Olympics, right? Because that's in February, and that would be when what is that going to be? His rehab is going to the Olympics or whatever for Team Finland. It just seems like a weird situation where what? And then he gets re-injured. It just seems stupid that you wouldn't just be going with Swayman and Allmark, good, bad, or ugly. Definitely for this season, through this season, and whatever happens, happens. I don't know. It is a weird situation to me too, because I also am not someone who thinks that Tuukka Rask is not a spectacular goaltender, and maybe he's been walking around with a hip and injury or whatever. I don't know. It's so hard because it's not like I want to say fucking see you, Tuukka, but at this point I feel like inadvertently we have moved on from the Tuukka Rask era of the Bruins. Right. No matter how it happened, it wasn't he got aged out or he signed somewhere else. It's just. And if he's going to be adamant he will only play for the Bruins, I don't think that should factor into the Bruins' decision on what they do. They have to do what's best for their team. And too often we talk about, right, and sometimes that works to the fans' advantage, that the loyalty to the player works in the advantage, right? You get good players for cheap money. But on the same time, we get stuck on players because we love them so much. We can't move on from that. But I don't know. The goaltending situation, it's like, I don't know if I feel better or worse about goaltending this year than I did last year.
I feel good. I feel good about it. I'm ready to see Allmark. I think he's going to be a fantastic goaltender.
Well, I just mean if they end up like putting a wrench in it and we do have Tuukka come back, like, am I going to hate it? Yeah, I'm going to hate it if he comes back and he's fucking still hurt and can't play or whatever. Before we take our break, because again, it wasn't that heavy a news this week, so I thought we could venture off into some other NHL. But speaking of having surgeries, does it seem weird Austin Matthews would only be getting wrist surgery in August when the season starts in October, when you haven't been playing hockey since at least early June? I don't know when the first round was. I can't remember.
Yeah. So it's 6 weeks recovery. So I think he'll be what? I know I'm not good with the numbers.
I know. I think they said like right around when training camps and stuff.
See, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. If it was like 6 months and you had it just last week, that'd be a kind of an issue.
Well, it seems kind of silly though. Like when you got eliminated, you wouldn't have like got it done before all your buddies got done with the playoffs and in summer time. I mean, you play. I know he's from a warm weather climate, but he plays in Toronto, which is like us. They don't get warm until a certain part of the year. You could already had your rehab where it was still kind of snowy and yucky out, because remember, it snowed until almost June this year, and then it was been hot. But I just thought that was weird. Like, I feel like that's something you'd want done and over with so you can guarantee that your $3 bazillion superstar is definitely going to be all right. What if something goes wrong with the rehab or the surgery? I'm sure it's not. They don't seem too worried about it, so it's probably not a heavy surgery, but like shit can go wrong. Also, he's like 23 years old and has a shit ton of money. Like, he could mess himself up just doing stupid, drunk 23-year-old guy things.
That's right.
Which I've seen happen with these eyes. I've seen you do shit with these eyes that when you were 23, boys are so dumb. Okay, guys, we don't think that's a good idea, but you go on. We'll just call the ambulance if you smash your skull open. That's fine. Back then, kids, we would have had to use this thing called a payphone for anyone under the age of 35.
And dial it. 1, 2, 3.
My parents had like this red one in their bedroom of that. Like, you're like, oh, I did a 7, and then you'd have to start again.
Oh, no, that sucked.
Back then, that was so long ago. We were 508. All right, let's take a break, guy.
Yeah, well, let's hear from the awesome Bruce Sullivan from Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia. He's got some fantastic stuff for you, my friends, the listeners and the YouTube viewers. Please go to Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia on Facebook. Follow the page. Become a member of the group. Ask Bruce questions, but also send him an email and ask him what he's got for his inventory, and he'll get right back to you with what he has and prices, which are very, very good. We buy all our hand-signed jerseys from Bruce at Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia. We're giving away a Derek Sanderson jersey today on this program. It is the middle of the month. This is what we do. Every middle of the month, a hand-signed jersey is going to somebody special. So stay tuned for details about the winner and later on. So for right now, let's hear from Bruce, and we'll be right back.
Hey Bruins fans, this is Bruce from Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia with your black and gold memorabilia moment of the week. We are pleased to announce upcoming signings with Bruins legends Jerry Cheevers, Sean Thornton, Phil Esposito, and Brad Park coming this August and September. In order to make room for the new inventory, we are blowing out our current inventory at huge savings. Grab this Cheevers JSA authenticated, signed and inscribed jersey, yours for just $75 delivered. Or take home this iconic JSA authenticated mask photo right now for just $35. Or grab the mask special edition JSA authenticated with custom framing and matting, yours for just $99. Or grab this dual authenticated Brad Park 8x10, which includes the Hall of Fame inscription, yours for just $34. Or take home the Brad Park special edition for just $89. Grab this dual authenticated Phil Esposito 8x10, yours right now for just $50. Or grab the dual authenticated special edition Phil Esposito photo display for just $99. Or get the 22x26 inch special edition photo display right now for just $119. For more information on our dozens of Bruins hand-signed pieces and for your chance to win free memorabilia each week, check us out at our Facebook page, Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia, or email me directly at bostonsportsandmusic@gmail.com. And be sure to check in each week right here to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Let's go!
What's up, Bruins fans? We are back. We just heard from the awesome Bruce Sullivan, and he has some fantastic stuff, so please follow his instructions. Send him an email. Go to the Facebook page and check out what he has. Really good price stuff, and it's all real. I mean, when he does these signings, the players are right there, and he's taking video and he's taking pictures of it. You can't get any better than that. But we are back. We got to talk a little bit more Bruins hockey before we end this bad, Larry. So where are we going now?
David Krejci. We're all just going to agree as a fan base that we're going to disagree about David Krejci, his future of the Bruins or not the future of the Bruins or whatever. This is one of the ones that you wanted to talk about. So that's just how I'm going to open it. Can we all just get along?
Well, yeah, it is stirring up some a little bit of controversy about what he's doing. And it's his right, it's absolutely his right. But for me on this topic, narrative, whatever you want to call it, it's just, I don't know. It's just a lot of drama, in my opinion. That's just, I don't know. It's kind of useless. I like David Krejci a lot. I think he's been a great player for the Boston Bruins. Almost a point per game player, and regardless of his speed and what most call him, because there's a lot of Krejci haters out there too, by the way.
Which is weird to me.
I know, it's very weird, but they're probably Tuukka Rask haters too. So it's just, I don't know, it's just a lot of freaking drama right now. It's like, we're leaving the door open. It's like you're leaving the door open for two players right now that don't have contracts as UFAs. And you have $1.8 million in space. Is this really going to happen? I don't think so. I just think it's good for the media. It gets good articles out there, but it's also stirring the pot on something that's probably not going to happen, in my opinion. And I don't see both of them coming back. I mean, I don't know. The logistics, if you look at the landscape, it can't happen for both of them.
Well, I still hold where I've been holding. I think there's a bigger chance. Now, I would love for, my dream. And one more year, ride off into the sunset, then we can finally close this door and open this door. But I stand still where I stand on this for two reasons. I think you're more likely to see David Krejci return than you are Tuukka Rask. Why? Because in a perfect world, everything is fine, but we also still don't know how new chemistry is going to work out, what things might happen in the course of the season. And again, I again say it's not even for me Krejci necessarily this season. I can see him coming back for the playoffs to hang out with his buddies, and we'll see Krejci up in the box or whatever with Sweeney. I haven't totally closed the door on the idea of maybe next year, but that depends on the landscape. Also, stop reporting things like David Krejci. There's been nothing I've seen in which David Krejci himself has said, I'll be back. I want to come back next year. He certainly didn't actually retire. He's leaving the door open. But to me, that's Krejci. Like, is it like 1 year I feel better than maybe try to do one last year in the NHL before I retire? Or maybe he goes there, he really loves it and decides to like officially retire, you know. But of the two, I agree with you. There's no way we're going to see both of these players. We don't salary cap wise now that we've locked into these other players. Like I said, you get a 3 for 3, and you get a 3 for 3, and you get a 3 for 3. And then having to sign Charlie McAvoy and stuff. That being said, I also think with Krejci, goaltenders warrant more money they do because they're fewer and far between than a center, right? But like we said last week, you know, there's a difference between like a Chara and a David Krejci. David Krejci is still a viable player, and he chose to go home to play for a season. He's not still going on where we might say about Zdeno, like, you're a fucking Warrior guy, but obviously, like, it's getting hard to keep up. You know what I mean? David Krejci hasn't had a hard time keeping up. I mean, and he's kept up despite of whatever might be going on around him. You know, he's had his moments and not his moments. But like you said, on average, pretty solid. So that's why I don't get the Krejci hate. Like, how can you hate David Krejci? He's literally one of the best point-producing Bruins of all time. And that's fine. You can hate him. Again, we're all just fans. I keep the reality. We're just fans. My humble opinion is it seems stupid to hate him. Okay, in the same way I don't understand. I understand if you don't like Tuukka Rask, but I don't understand hating him. Like, if you look at his numbers and what he's actually done for you. Same thing. Yeah. So the hate that's going on in Krejci is ridiculous too. And I love David Krejci. You know that. There are a few people that are going to equal how much I fucking love this dude. So, I also think it's kind of short-sighted to say there's no chance you might see David Krejci again. Like I said, I feel like maybe the Tuukka ship has sailed no matter how it came to pass, but I can see not like really, really I want this to happen, but I also think it's weird to be like, that would be the worst thing. Like, some people are talking, do you know what I mean? Like, some people like, the worst thing that would happen is they gave the David Krejci $2 million to play one more season. Like, that is not the worst thing that could happen to your team. Like, it's not. So do
you believe that the Boston, I meant to ask Andrew Taverna when he was our guest last week, do you believe that the Bruins asked David to hold his goodbye letter, to say goodbye for now letter until Taylor Hall was signed?
No, I think that Krejci is one thing about David Krejci is he's not really a player. He's a very European player. They're not as reserved as like American and Canadian players are, who kind of taught like, when good, we win some, you win some, we lose as a team, we win. That's not European players. Like, European players will throw each other under the bus. They'll like whatever. So I feel like if Krejci really was he was retiring, he would have just said that.
Yeah.
So for me, and even just his own demeanor is kind of he's on the fence. He doesn't, he misses home but he still he wants to play. So I don't think it was like the organization asked him to like hold off, Taylor. Like, I don't think there was some kind of conspiracy, because even Taylor Hall said like he loved playing with David Krejci, but that wasn't the deciding factor on whether he would sign with the Bruins or not. So it seems that would be kind of weird. And just kind of David as a person, I feel like he said it in his letter. Do you know what I mean? Like, goodbye, not forever, whatever that means. It could be he comes back and we see him retire at the end of this year and officially retire. So, but I don't think that it was like a way of like the front office trying to manipulate, although I can see why it looks that way. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, the timing, if you think about it, it's just, Taylor Hall signs and all of a sudden within a matter of days, the Krejci news comes out. So, well, it actually wouldn't surprise me to drop news of like what they fired. What did they do a couple of years ago? They fired Claude Julien during
the Patriots parade.
Yeah,
it was like the 6th of February. It was like the parade or something, and at noontime they're like, "And Bruce Cassidy is now at the thing, and we are not taking any questions at this time." What the hell? There's just like all these drunk Patriots fans, at Government Center getting text and whatever Instagram updates of just like Claude packing his bag. See, that was
Bruins being Bruins.
Well, yeah, and that, like I said, I've kind of lost. I haven't lost faith in the front office, but I also feel like you're talking out both sides of your ass at times. So I don't know what to believe with what's being said. But I don't feel like Krejci was like, oh, I'm going to really dick with Don Sweeney because he knows he's going to give me a little money. I'm just going to make sure. I feel like the Bruins held off sending the letter out. Not that Krejci delayed in giving the letter. Like, I do believe they knew Krejci was not coming back at least this season. Like he was UFA started and there was no way he was signing this year. I do think they had to have known because like you said, the timing, like, oh, suddenly 3 days later he made the decision. No, because you almost feel like if that was the case, he would have made the decision before Taylor Hall signed. Like, you feel like that would influence him a little bit more to stay if he indeed was going to have a solidified left wing to play with instead of having to go through another season of now I got to train everybody and their mother and hope they do something. That's a good question, Mark. That befuddled me a little. I hope that wasn't a ranty one, but just I am confused though about the like some people like this is the worst thing that could happen. David Krejci, whatever. Listen to me. If David Krejci comes back, it is not going to be because he's cock blocking, excuse my language, one of the kids in Providence. It will be because the Bruins feel their best option would still be, and better than going to find out somebody, it's better to maybe hire someone who's already been in your system for 14 years that might be able to walk back in.
That's also, and his return is premises on if he can. He's got to go through waivers. So the way I hear it is if the Bruins want to bring him back and he wants to come back, there's a contract that's signed, but that contract is now on hold for 24 hours or 48 hours, something like that, as he goes through the waiver process where any team can pick him up or it's a priority, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're on like a priority list to like, I don't know how it works. It's like a revolving list that, you might have the highest priority, but the next time you want a waiver pickup, you're not on the top of the list, something like that. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes though, with certain players, you kind of feel like there's a, it's kind of like the offer sheet. There's this unwritten rule. It's kind of like a respect thing. Like, so if someone like David Krejci, who has been affiliated with the one team his whole career, pops back in, you almost feel like there might be an unwritten rule thing of like letting them go through waivers and see if their initial team was going to go in, because it wouldn't, I would think that you would think he'd be a hot commodity, but it's almost like you wonder if that's one of those old rules that kind of, he was a UFA, then he went home, is he going to settle with the Bruins? And then it'll be fair game, regardless of waiver in. But I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, I haven't seen David Krejci indicate that he was necessarily giving up the NHL or made a decision about that either way. So, but we need something to be dramatic about. And it is, again, the off season and the dead season between the initial few weeks of free agency and whatnot. And when training camps start, which hopefully we'll know when that is soon, probably even this week, right? Because it's probably mid-September it starts up by mid-September. And everyone starts coming home around first week of September. Everyone pops in. But we'll talk about the NHL protocols coming. Like, that's what we'll wrap up with that topic. But we do have something else in between that the Maine Mariners have appointed. Is it Galette?
It's Ben Guite.
Guite. See, Jesus, I even murdered that one. Go ahead.
He's new Maine Mariners head coach. He was the assistant coach at the University of Maine, so very familiar with Jeremy Swayman and Edward Trailmarks and others. But great hire. Riley Armstrong was hired as the head coach or assistant coach. I think it was the assistant coach of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. So it left the that's a higher up league in the American Hockey League. And Guite comes in as a new East Coast Hockey League coach first year, so big expectations from him. And he was at development camp to get an idea of the organization and so on. Ben was a former player. I think he has a game or a couple of games in the NHL, mostly minor pro career. He played in Providence, so. a good hire, a good character guy. I think he's gonna do well if some prospects do end up going down to the East Coast Hockey League. And if you look at Puckpedia right now, there's 45 of 50 max contracts on the salary cap thing. So there's a good belief that the Boston Bruins are going to go out and probably pick up some free agent college players that they want to keep an eye on and possibly sign them to play in the in Maine. So you could see 5 players being there full time, which is really good for that level. And I think it's a great way to better utilize your minor pro system, because in the past with Atlanta and Jacksonville and so on, and even South Carolina, the Stingrays in the East Coast Hockey League, where the Boston Bruins did have their minor pro, their AA minor pro affiliate, you didn't really see a lot of Bruins prospects. I mean, Kyle Kaiser and Dan Vladar, it's 2 separate occasions that there'd be one player down there doing the job, and it was mostly the goalie. Well, and then you'd see like players like Jesse Gabriel and Una Kapanen go down, but it wasn't like a lot of Bruins prospects or Bruins players were down there. So I think this is going to increase that, player under contract type of thing down in Maine. Oh, up in Maine, yeah, actually now. But I think that if you do have more of those contracted players on a team like that, you're going to get more of a draw from fans, more season ticket sales, and so on. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be a good thing. So Ben's a really good coach. He was with I can't remember his name now. The coach that passed away from a heart attack. I can't remember it. Red.
Yeah.
Is it Red Berenson? No,
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Gendron. Red Gendron.
Yeah,
and I probably got the red wrong.
It is Gendron. I'm sorry, I am having a Sunday brain, as you know. I'm not really that helpful to you today. I apologize for those who are listening.
So anyway, I think it's Gendron. So he's got a really good work ethic and so on. And he learned from some really good coaches in the past. So I even think he went to school when Sean Walsh was coaching there, and he passed away of cancer a long time ago. So it's going to be a great challenge for him and start his coaching career. So I'm looking forward to hopefully interviewing him if we get the media creds up at the Maine Mariners in Portland, Maine.
All right. Well, I mean, I do, like I said to you before, I do think it'll help increase revenues for the lower leagues if you have more people that you're more invested in,
Yeah.
Because especially at that level, we don't have too many people that really, and we, like you said, overall, it's the proximity. So they're getting new things. It'll be interesting. There's been a lot of changes. This is going to be an interesting new look for the Bruins this season. We've got 3 levels of New England hockey going on.
Awesome.
And
I'm excited.
Drawing a lot of our prospects are playing in Hockey East. So, in our drafty or whatever their actual titles are, they know they all have their own categories. Will be local. It'll be easier for them to keep an eye on. And I mean, this is it, right? Like I said, but this year has to either start really seeing if we can go all in and how it's constructed or burn the damn house down, from top to bottom. But it'll just, even for call-ups and stuff, it's going to be nice to have. Hopefully they can put some of their players there, but if anything, maybe they can figure out a way to just incorporate the association together. Sometimes it's just a marketing thing that you need, not even so much the, I mean, if they did alumni day or something, you know what I mean, and had former players come, even to people who played for the Black Bears and whoever. But anyways, that's that. So lots of coaching news in the system this week, and appointments to front offices and such. I'm looking at you, Adam Mcquaid. I'm sorry I butchered your name too, sir. I don't know what is wrong with me. I am usually pretty good with names, but today I couldn't even say.
It's all right. It's Sunday.
Oh
Don't
my
worry
goodness.
about it.
Let's wrap this, get close to wrapping this up because I can't make this much more of an editing nightmare for Mark if I try. So the NHL announced that all players and personnel are going to be required to be vaccinated. This is why Lascelles wasn't at training camp, right? Because he wasn't vaccinated or something like that. That was before this came out, but that was one of the things someone said that was partly why he couldn't travel or something.
I heard it was a prior commitment.
Yeah,
I didn't hear anything about anything like that. I think it was because development camp was so far ahead and not when it's normally happening in late June, early July.
Well, I
think he had a team he was playing for.
That's neither here nor there for the traveling purposes, but this year, this is what the NHL, I think this was this is quoted from, I believe, an Elliot Friedman tweet or whatever, but the wording is any person whose job, role, position, or access entails or entitles them to have personal interactions within 12 feet of any club hockey operation personnel, including players, are required to be fully vaccinated. So we are talking thousands of people, right? So not just the players, not just the people on the bench, anybody. So that means anybody in the buildings that might be bringing the water bottles back and forth, bringing the snack trays into the warm-up rooms, whatever is going on. This is interesting, right? What do you like? So until you show your proof of vaccination, you're not even probably allowed in facilities. I would assume. I don't know this to be true. They didn't really give out, as the NHL does, not all the details, but just a little enough of them. Testing protocols and stuff are going to be amped up in spite of that too, which they're doing a lot of travel this year. That makes sense. Like, how are we going to implement? How are they going to implement that? So I just wanted to bring this up to you, Mark. I'm someone who does not feel. This is stupid because I'm vaccinated. And I think it's silly. Part of the privilege of living in a first world nation is you have access to medicines that can make things better. That being said, in your personal life, I don't think in your private life, nobody should be able to make you do anything. But I also think that private companies have every right to, just like when I was a teacher, the school district could tell me what to do, and your company can tell you their employee, even though you get to be Mark Allred when you leave, or I get to be Heather when I leave. I do think it's interesting that, unlike some of the other sports, the NHL is going all in from the get-go of, no, get vaccinated. Like, we're not going to be part of the problem, and we don't want to
Well, this definitely, when you talk about logistics about this and what's happening, a very interesting article in The Athletic written by Michael Russo and Katie Strang, both fantastic hockey writers, and highly recommend that you get a subscription to The Athletic and read these guys. But they said during a call that lasted more than an hour last week, NHL players were strongly encouraged by the NHL Players Association to get fully vaccinated and warned about potential loss of pay during the upcoming season if they do not do so. The NHLPA discussed the potential of teams to withhold paychecks should an unvaccinated player contract COVID-19, or if an unvaccinated player can't accompany his team on road trips where local or federal authorities require vaccinations to enter. On Monday of last week, the Canadian government opened the border to Americans or Canadians living in the United States as long as they've been fully vaccinated for 14 days and show proof of a negative test within 72 hours of their arrival. The NHL right now is 85% fully vaccinated, and for the ones that don't want it, they could be pushed to get it per their job, like you mentioned earlier. And it's NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly confirmed north of 85% of NHL players are vaccinated. Like the WNBA is a 99% vaccination rate. The NFL has a 90%. Major League Baseball, would they have an 85%? So to get these teams going, to get these leagues and so on running, in accordance of each province and border, whatever. I think it's got to be done, but we can't force people to do what if they don't want to do. If they want to lose money, then that's up to them. But I think this is going to be a very tough thing to move forward on, with the variant and all this other crap that's coming around. I really can't take another one of these, because I don't know the way things are freaking going right now. I would hate to see the loss of no fans in the stands again.
Yeah,
I think it would be terrible for the league, and this could absolutely cripple the league if it happens, and that TV deal.
Well, was it the Jets? They came out as an organization and said, or like some of the provinces and some venues I've seen in the States for concerts and stuff. Sorry, again, my brain. Have already come out, and some venues are saying you don't get to come to, unless you can show proof of vaccination, you don't get to come to the event. And if you don't like it, then you can't come to the event. Maybe part of that's in conjunction with the sports organizations. Obviously, a lot of venues are sports stadium, but there are a lot of places people go for large mass gatherings for concerts and such that this venues themselves as private entities are saying you don't get to come here. So that would mean, their employees are you have to vaccinate, those are really high numbers, and that's great. And again, I'm just a weird person. Like, it just seems nonsensical to me unless you have a medical or a religious objection to not getting a perfectly reasonable, it took me 15 minutes of my life kind of situation.
Yeah.
But I think that the NHL was careful they can't really mandate it without it being signed on with the Players Association, right? So they kind of left it for the teams themselves or the venues in which the teams play for to force these people to get vaccinated, without so much as doing something. That's kind of smart. That's legalese, I think, when they use their big lawyer brains to write something up. That also seems conflicting, right? They're like, you have to be vaccinated, but there'll be consequences. But that's what the NFL did. Yeah. They're like, okay, you don't get vaccinated, but just so you know, these are the repercussions if you contract COVID, you spread it, you do whatever, and make your own decisions on that. I've got a key player on my football team I love so much that's just been super vocal about the UK. It just seems like, okay, that's the hill like people want. I want to respect everyone's right. But part of living in a free society is knowing when just conform, because that's how we all remain. That's part of the rules, right? We all agree that murder is wrong. We might have varying degrees of what murder means, but we all agree generally it's not okay just to kill somebody, right? It's how you have a free society, is everyone buying in to the sensical rules. I understand there's a lot of shit we can't ignore. Go ahead.
A couple points that I want to bring up in this article again is one player says it's about 80% of guys. 80% of guys think we should all be vaccinated, and the 20% are like, no, this is stupid. We shouldn't have to. Which I guess we are all entitled on our own opinion. One player on a Canadian team said, but when guys start being told they may miss pay, they are starting to change their tune. When you're talking about government and lawyers, stuff like that, at least one player on a call broached the idea of national interest exemptions for entry into Canada for NHL players, national interest exemptions and modifications of rules and protocols. But the NHLPA did not express confidence that such an exemption would be granted, particularly because Canada is becoming more stringent about the border travel, not less. In fact, amongst the series of tweets Friday, Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, said by the end of October in 2021, Canada will require commercial air travelers to all be vaccinated.
And ferries, anything else. So if you want to take the cat up to Nova Scotia or whatever, you're going to have proof of vaccination when you get to Halifax, kind of thing. And trains, if you take the train to Toronto, Amtrak or whatever.
My last point about this article is even though NHL teams fly into Canada on chartered aircraft, the NHLPA is preparing its unvaccinated players for the potential that they may not be permitted to accompany their team into the country if the government won't allow them in. And if that if that's eventually the case, it's like they would have their salaries withheld for the time they're away from their teams.
Yeah.
So interesting shit going forward. Yeah, I hate this. I hate this crap.
That's an interesting point though about like just the unique situation of. I mean, I guess MLB does, but they don't. They only have like the Toronto, right? Same thing in basketball. You know, you just have the one team that's traveling. It's a little easier to track, trace, or whatever, the one organization, as opposed to 6 or 7. You know what I mean? And even just the ones that are near the border. But I mean, the Canadian government. I mean, the states have been very varied on how we did. I know people. I'm like, dude, we were on lockdown, but like, I have not. And I'm someone again who really loves my freedoms and rights, but I have not. I felt more oppressed about stupid disease than I did about how my government made me not be able to function. You know, I mean, there are logistics there, but I got to go out for walks. I still got to the grocery store, you know, like whatever. I did. It wasn't like I was stuck in my house. I was not like quarantined to the point like I did. It sucks you couldn't hang out in large groups or whatever, but everyone was being cautious. But the Canadian government has been pretty locked down in all the provinces most of the time, where things in the states have been opening back up and closing back up. Like they've been just kind of locked down. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not there. Obviously we're on this side of the border, but I've seen things on Twitter. I have seen videos of like people walking dogs and too many people together that are getting like in trouble or into houses for gatherings. I know that's happened in several places. Like in California, they would shut off the electricity if you were having a house party. So you'd have to clear it out.
Nuts.
I understand that, but it's like you said, the great thing about free enterprise is you're right. You don't have to get vaccinated, but I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs and I don't have to pay you your $175,000 for the 1 day's pay today. Do I?
Yeah.
No, I don't, you know,
Sure.
kind of thing. So if that's what it takes, because I do all day do believe though, employers have the right, because you choose to have I know everybody needs a job, but on some level, you enter an agreement when you get employed that you will follow by the rules set forth by the company. You commented yourself on the podcast thing from your company, right? But you're not an asshole to the point, you know, like you can be mad about it, but you also know that's your company policy and you're not the person who's going to die on the hill, podcast or no radio. So everyone's all sitting in silence, right? I mean, that's not the platform you're going to. Same thing. I feel like if 80% of the people in your company are looking at you like, come on, again, if there's a religious exemption or you can't health-wise, that's a different situation. But just because, like, if it's the attitude of, I don't know, I'm just like making up scenarios. I keep hearing people say, why they not, the government can't make me do anything. Well, that's not true. The Canadian government can very well not let you in their country if you're not vaccinated. So even if in your own mind that might not be true, what does that say? European players? Cool. We don't know. The United States isn't going to say if you come from outside the country. We don't really have anything in place yet that has been announced, but you know that's coming, whatever. Like I said, I don't know what a vaccine passport is. Isn't that why I have my CDC card? Like, isn't that supposed to be proof of vaccination? But like travel-wise, already airline companies are like, you can't get on if you're not vaccinated on international flights. So players are going to have to make a decision. I would think that you'd end up saying, I'd rather have my money than, you know, I mean, I just can't imagine an objection a player has. I don't know what that ethnicity, whatever. I'm not Canadian, so I don't know what that rule is for exemption, what the wording is about your ethnic or something you said, country something. But it seems to me that'd be a hard sell, right? Like you need to prove. It's like saying I'm a refugee. So, well, that's cool. You need to actually prove you're a refugee or show, like, you can't just say, I'm a Pastafarian and we object to sharp objects or whatever. Like, that's not a reason for Canada to let you in. Sorry.
I just thought it was interesting, the article and some of the points that I read out. It's just, you know, moving forward, it's going to be a challenge like everything is around here these days. So hopefully it gets
cost.
Yeah, hopefully it gets worked out.
Things like that. I'm wondering if the NHL, if that's the stance, if there isn't, shouldn't there be in place then some kind of like setting, remember we talked about last year, like maybe that some athletes would get priority to get vaccines, which is not what the NHL is shooting for. But now that we have more vaccine access to everybody, right? There's everyone over the age of 12, at least in this country, and I'm pretty sure Canada too, if you can have access to it, can receive it. How is the NHL going to, so say you are someone who, is it going to be on them, or is the team going to, maybe the medical personnel, like be able to set up, all right, all the Northeast players, tests are happening. We'll be in New York for people, for the Devils and Philly and whoever on this day, Boston, Montreal, you guys, we're going to be in Concord, New Hampshire, all meet up there, whatever it is, like to be able to provide maybe center, what are they, sites, you know what I mean, for players to like, all right, so these 5 people on Toronto aren't vaccinated, but they've decided they're going to not take the risk about their money and their health. And how do we get them those 5 doses? I mean, maybe with the local hospitals. I don't know why I'm so I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. All right, well, let's get off this topic now.
Well, that is the last topic, my friend. So awesome. Again, not really a lot of things to look at. We're just looking forward. Hopefully we can get training camp in. And when did we get the dates for like Prospect Challenge, or that still we're not quite sure?
I don't know exactly when that is going to be. So
yeah, I haven't seen that out. But preseason starts the 25th of September, and then we open up on the 16th. So do the Providence Bruins, and don't forget that the Pride open up on November 6th. Somewhere in between here and there will also be college hockey starting back up again. That's usually in October-ish too. And we're looking like we're going to have more normal hockey season this year, right? No more bubbles necessarily, no more testing, but it is scary with all the variants coming out. So I just hope that everyone can stay safe. Fans, players, personnel, people within 12 feet alike, or whatever it is. Don't forget, if you wanted to maybe go to that Corey Griffin Foundation comedy night, that's coming up on the 26th. Go to the Corey Griffin Foundation, where we know that there'll be some Bees alum, and Tom and Jilly will be there and stuff like that. Keep tweeting #Willie for the gold. Hopefully he gets that. And we haven't mentioned it in a while, but I think I might retweet it though. We haven't given up on Herb Kane and his drive to try and get into the Hockey Hall of Fame. So again, I'm gonna retweet maybe something from theirs, or one that we had put out before. But that's all I got before you get into the Patreons, rate, review, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I apologize. Inga will be a better Inga next week, okay? We're working on it every 3rd week. And this is my 3rd week, so I'm off my target today. So sorry.
All right, let's get into the Patreon stuff, because this is exciting. This is the jersey giveaway day. So a lucky financial supporter that went to the details below for the YouTube video viewers and the audio listeners. That's patreon.com/Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please go there and donate just $1 per episode. You really help us, small media company, help pay the bills to produce all this video and audio content, the website and hosting, everything. It costs money to do, and we appreciate the contributions that we have. But in turn, we take half of that contribution and we put it back into you guys, the financial supporters. So there's a Bruins related prize every week and a jersey giveaway once a month, and we try to pick the middle of the month to do this. So the regular Boston Bruins related prize goes to my boy Hollis Jackson. Congratulations to Hollis. And let me get it out of here. The hand signed Derek Sanderson.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's awesome. And it's all stitched. It's really nice jersey. This bad boy is going out to California. It's going to Mr. Mark Balboni. Mark, Congratulations, my friend.
New head coach of the San Jose Sharks, if you saw his tweet.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you for your $3 a episode contribution. We certainly appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think he's going to enjoy that. It was kind of cool when I did the Wheel of Winner and his name came up. So I think he's going to be pumped. So, and Hollis too. Hollis is a great guy. He got a new job, but left the left the lawyer job kind of thing, the firm, if you want to call it, and went into college sports. I believe he's in South Carolina now. So he goes from Alabama to South Carolina. So
He's
no matter where he goes, the barbecue is amazing.
I was gonna say he's been a long time supporter of you too, Hollis.
Yes.
I know there have been many times over the years that Hollis's name has come up. I remember this for two reasons. One, Hollis is a town here, but I don't know any names Hollis. And two, you don't often find a hockey fan that deep in the South.
Exactly.
Just kidding. That's a growing phenomenon, though, right?
He's originally from the, I believe, Massachusetts, New England area.
Yeah, I know, but just like Alabama, like I remember, Hollis who lives in Alabama. It's like Alabama. The fans are everywhere. You can't get away from these. I also just want to say thank you for people listening and supporting the podcast on the network. I'm anal and I'm always looking at the charts, even though it's just like always changing. And I know it doesn't really mean anything, but not just us, but other podcasts from the Black and Gold Network that are in conjunction with Black and Gold Productions. Lindroth podcast is killing it in the UK.
No kidding.
Even this morning I looked and I saw us Beehive, Puck, in and out. So thank you for supporting all of the podcasts. We appreciate it for us, but I just want to say we appreciate you all for also listening and supporting the other podcasts that are associated with the B&G family, because I love listening to our podcast. What I said to you last week, I was like, half of the podcasts I listen to about the Bruins are our podcast. That's how awesome they are.
Our podcast network has 11 shows now and it's growing. So if any listeners or viewers out there would like to start a show individually or with a group of friends, as long as it's Boston Bruins related, no matter what level of the organization, it's welcome here. Reach out, Black and Gold Productions LLC at gmail.com. And if you want to write for us, we're accepting all writers as we gear up for the new 21-22 season. So we have writing availability at all levels of the organization as well. So we have a nice little family here. We put out some decent content, and we have a lot of fun. That's the biggest part about it is a fun thing to do. I like sitting here, talking to my friend Heather about something that we're so passionate about, and it's great to have a great complimentary team at B&G. We have 25 writers and the podcasters. We have I think we have about 40 members when you think about it, between writers and the podcast network. So it's a lot of fun.
You mentioned Puckline's putting out their YouTube channel. Yes. We also have other digital content out there.
Yep. And the Beehive Pod with Brett Howard and Kevin O'Keefe. They are going to be diving into the YouTube video content as well, which is going to be fantastic. So we're just growing, and it's awesome. We're getting some really good supporting members that really drive the bus here at B&G, and I absolutely love it. So.
And check out growing, right?
Yeah, check out the website.
Podcast starting this week or something like that.
Yep, check out the Halts on Hockey.
Yeah.
So that's a new one. All three brothers, and I think they all play hockey, and they're diehard fans. So it's really cool.
So go subscribe, rate, and review all of them. Bump up B&G family.
Yes, ma'am. All right. With that being said, thank you everybody for the support. I truly appreciate it. We can't get enough of you guys. The retweets, the shares, the compliments, the financial support. You guys are all amazing. We truly appreciate it, and we thank you for that, because we can't do this without your participation in listening and seeing. I'm host Mark Allred, and that's Heather Ingerson. Sorry, Heather, I almost cut you right off there.
That's fine.
But it has been a Sunday, and it's been a good one. It's hot, but at least it's sunny and bright out, and I'm going to sit here and edit this and get it out as soon as possible. But truly appreciate the effort that Heather brings in all the time, and everybody else. You guys are amazing.
It was messy today, but thank you.
Well, I wanted to say something nice, because I know you're going to tear my head off later.
No, I'm a show. I can't believe you tolerated me this long. And if you guys are still listening, thank you for tolerating me this long.
Yeah, we love the Heather. All right, guys, take care. Peace out. Be safe. Get vaccinated. Whatever you got to do. Let's get some hockey. Let's go. We'll see you next week. We're gonna get some more topics to talk about. So we'll have a day then. But until then, peace out.
Peace out. Thanks again for listening to and supporting the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please share the show with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to and leave a 5-star rating for the show on your favorite podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Between shows, help us keep the Bruins talk going by visiting our website, blackandgoldhockey.com, by sending an email to blackandgoldhockeyblog@gmail.com, and by following the show on Twitter @blackandgoldpod.
Peace out.